And one of the things I want to do, is make sure I put a link to that facility you were talking about that does the donations and make people aware of that. I know one of the things that Jim Wining's doing with Axe Media Group is also wanting to try to help with raising some donations to help you with all the costs. And that's something we should definitely talk about, for people that aren't aware of it. I'm sure anyone that's had some health issues know that anything health related can be expensive. But for someone going through dialysis, 3 times a week, you got the transportation, you got all that kind of thing, and then looking at transplants, not being able to go out for a month, all these types of things. Can you give us kind of a general idea of what it's like cost-wise, just so people get a feel for that?
If you were to walk into a transplant facility and write a check for a transplant, you'd be down about $450,000.
Yeah.
In my case, Medicare pays 80% of it, which is ballpark of $400,000.
Right.
And Medicaid theoretically will pay the balance. Medicaid does something called a spin down.
Yeah, tell us how that works, because that's...
Well, that's a good question. It's complicated, bureaucratic, and a little crazy, but the theory is that, and what spin down started out as, was the idea that if you're going to have major medical stuff going on, you should contribute something to it. And originally, as I understand it, it was not a lot. People would be expected to pay $1 for a doctor's visit or something of that nature. What it's evolved to, though, is they require you, if you're going to use Medicaid within a month, you have to pay a spin down, which, to my way of thinking, is pretty draconian. In my case, I get about $1,200 a month income from disability, and my spin down is $345.
Wow, so that's like...
So it's a huge chunk of your income, especially when you're on a small income to start with.
Like around 25% or something?
Yeah,
20,
yeah,
quite a bit.
Like that.
Wow, yeah, and... I can understand, I guess, where someone somewhere along the line thought, well, everybody should have a little skin in the game, but at some point they got to go, hey, let's look at the balance on this.
And frankly, that's more than I can pay, and so that's what's keeping me right now from getting a transplant.
Oh yeah,
that's the barrier.
So the big barrier you have is taking care of the spin down.
Is the financial stuff
from the extra costs they have.
Yeah. the medical stuff so far has gone really well. In my case, sometimes people can't get a transplant because of medical reasons. There's something else going on with them.
Yeah, I know there's some. I know, like my father, he was 87 when he was starting to have some problems with his kidney, and it was at the point with him, it would have been where, okay, he's going to be on dialysis the rest of his life, and that's kind of the way it's going to end. And I know for some people, it does kind of go that way, unfortunately.
That is true.
Where they get, I guess, maybe even more issues than just the kidney, but they're, But what a way to go out with all that, 3 times a week, going through dialysis.
Dialysis is very difficult on older people.
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine if it's wearing you out and everything, and then if you got someone that's older and maybe not have. At least I know as I get older, I don't have as much energy as I used to.
Already worn out to start with. So it's older. It's rough on older people.
So they won't even give you an opportunity to do anything without that spin down taken care of.
That's correct.